Hello, this is Ria Jane Palomar, and this video is I'm going to tackle about the exercise number 1 entitled Animal Cell and Tissues. Okay, let's read that. I'm going to read the introduction. The cell theory states that all living organisms are made up of cells. Cells are the basic structural and functional units of life. Cells differ in size, shape, and functions. These variations are correlated with the functions they perform. According to structure, cells are generally classified either as prokaryotics or eukaryotics. According to function, animal cells are either somatic or reproductive. Multicellular organisms are made up of several cells. Cells that perform the same functions are called tissue. Cells of a tissue may be of several kinds. Tissues are in turn grouped together to form organs. Organs group together to form a system, and all these comprise an organisms. Okay, the objectives. First, to identify the commonly visible parts of an animal cells. Second, to describe the major parts of cells and their functions. And third is to identify and describe characteristics of tissues. Animal tissues rather. Okay, let's move on to somatic tissues. Somatic is a cells. Okay, somatic cells are the cells in the body other than sperm and egg cells, or which are called germ cells. In humans, somatic cells are diploid, meaning they contain two sets of chromosomes, one inherited from each parent. Okay, somatic cells make up the connective tissue, skin, blood, bones, and internal organs. Examples are muscle cells, blood cells, skin cells, and nerve cells. Epithelial tissues. Take note all the compact arrangement of cells and presence of basement membrane. Notice this thin and permeable membrane that binds the epithelium together and separates it from the underlying connective tissue. Observe carefully if the focused epithelium is composed of one layer of cells or simple, or two or more layers or stratified. Under close inspection, you will notice that epithelial tissues have no blood supply. Since they are avascular, nutrients and oxygen are supplied through diffusion from underlying tissues. Okay, so the epithelium is a type of body tissues that forms and covering on all internal and external surface of your body. Lines body, cavities, and hollow organs and is the major tissues in glands. Observe the following simple epithelia. Letter A. Simple squamous epithelium. Take note of the thin, flat, and irregularly shaped cells. They line the heart, blood, and lymphatic vessels, body cavities, and alveoli or air sacs of the lungs. Examine a prepared slides of simple squamous epithelium or whole mount under the LPO and HPO and identify all visible parts. So, simple squamous epithelium, this is type of epithelium typically lines blood vessels and body cavities and regulates the passage of substances into the underlying tissue. Then letter B, simple cuboidal epithelium. Examine a prepared slide of kidney tubuli. Use the HPO to closely examine the wall of the tubules. Take note of the cube-shaped cells that line the kidney tubules. This type of cells can also be seen lining the ovaries and secretory parts of certain glands. So the simple cuboidal epithelium consists of a single layer of cells that are approximately as tall as they are wide. This type of epithelium lines collecting ducts and tubes and is involved in absorbing or secreting materials into the ducts or tubes. Letter C. Simple columnar epithelium. Examine the slide of the frog's small intestine or stomach. Under the LPO, locate the finger-like folds called or belly of the small intestine. These folds are lined with columnar cells. Look for elongated cells with the nucleus generally near the bottom and often ciliated on the outer surface. Turn to HPO and carefully examine individual columnar cells of the belly and identify all visible parts. So, simple columnar epithelium consists of a single layer of cells that are taller than they are wide. This type of epithelia lines the small intestine where it absorbs nutrients from the lumen of the intestine. Simple columnar epithelia are also located in the stomach where it secretes acid, digestive enzymes, and mucus. Number 2. Connective tissues. Carefully observe the features of this tissue that makes it bind parts together, fill in space, and provide support for other types of tissue. Notice that these tissues have fewer cells but with more intercellular substances or matrix or ground substance than the epithelial tissues. The matrix is variable in type and amount. It is one of the differentiating features of the various types of connective tissues. Invertebrates' connective tissue proper includes both loose connective tissue, composed of fibers and fixed and wandering cells suspended in a syrupy ground substance, and dense connective tissue are tendons and ligaments, largely composed of tightly packed fibers. Other types of connective tissues include the vascular tissues, blood, lymph, and tissue fluid. Vascular tissue is found in a fluid ground substance called the plasma. So connective tissue is found in between other tissues everywhere in the body, including the nervous system, the three meninges, membranes that envelop the brain, and spinal cord are composed of connective tissue. Then the loose connective tissue works to hold organs in place and is made up of extracellular matrix and collagenous, elastic, and reticular fibers. And the dense connective tissue is support, protects, and holds bones, muscles, and other tissues and organs in place. Letter A, cartilage. Cartilage is a semi-rigid connective tissue embedded in a gel-like matrix. Examine a cross-section of a hyaline cartilage under LPO and HPO. Look for these parts. Uh, chondrocytes or chondriocytes. Cartilage cell. Lacunae or singular or lacuna. Cavities containing the cartilage cells. So, bones or osseous tissue. Examine a cross-section of the bone. Under the LPO, carefully observe the different structures under arrangement. Take note of the calcified matrix with calcium salts organized around collagen fibers arranged in concentric rings or lamellae. Under HPO, focus on a single Haversian system and identify all the parts. Osteocytes, bone cells, lacunae, cavities where bone cells are lodged. Canaliculi, small canals that interconnect the, the lacunae to distribute the cellular materials. Haversian canal, the central canal with blood supply or vascular. Osteon or Haversian system, entire elongated cylinder unit of the rings. The osteon is the structural and functional unit of a bone. So cartilage is a strong, flexible, connective tissue that protects your joints and bones. It acts as a shock absorber throughout your body. Cartilage at the end of your bones reduces friction and prevents them from rubbing together when you use your joints. Hyaline cartilage is the glass-like and translucent cartilage found on many joint surfaces. It is also most commonly found in the ribs, nose, uh, larynx, and trachea. Hyaline cartilage is pearl gray in color, with a firm consistency and has a considerable amount of collagen. It contains no nerves or blood vessels, and its structure is relatively simple. Chon- Chondrocytes. Chondrocytes maintain the extracellular matrix or ECM and produce the cartilage matrix. Surrounded by collagenous fibers, chondrocytes release substances to make cartilage strong yet flexible. In general, chondrocytes are found within intervertebral disc and in any form of articular cartilage or AC. Locani. Locani is the matrix enclosed compartment that they sit in are called locani. Okay, let's continue to our topic. Bone or osseous tissue. Tissue that gives strength and structure to bones. Osseous tissue is maintained by bone-forming cells called osteoblasts and cells that break down bones called osteoclast. And then canaliculi are small canals running through the bone's solid matrix, hosting osteocytes, dendrites, and saturated by an interstitial fluid rich in ions. Then we have Haversian canals. Haversian canals are a series of microscopic tubes in the outermost region of bone called cortical bone. Then letter B, the blood. Take note that in specimen, this tissue is made up of fluid portion or plasma, and the form elements or cells, corpuscles, and fragments. These cells are now first red blood corpuscles, second leukocytes or white blood cells, and third is thrombocytes or blood platelets. Examine a preferred slides of a human blood smear and a frog blood smear. Focus them under the LPO and HPO. Take note of the differences in terms of shape and size of cells, and the presence or absence of a nucleus in each cell. So the blood is one of the connective tissues. As a connective tissue, it consists of cells and cell fragments or form elements suspended in an intercellular matrix or plasma. Blood is the only liquid tissue in the body that measures about 5 liters in the adult humans and accounts for 8% of the body weight. Letter C, adipose. Examine a preferred slide of adipose tissue under the LPO and HPO. Look for large soft bubbles-like structures or signet rings, with nucleus and cytoplasm pushed to one side. This is a lost connective tissues that stored lipid cushions, support and insulates organs, and acts as filler tissue. Adipose tissue, otherwise known as body fat. It is connective tissue that extends throughout your body. It's found under your skin or subcutaneous fat. Between your internal organs or visceral fat, and even in the inner cavities of bones or bone marrow adipose tissue. Number 3, muscle tissues. Observe that muscle tissue is composed of elongated cells called muscle fibers, specialized for construction. This specialized function of construction is exclusive for muscle tissues. Muscles are the most common tissue in the body of higher animals. So the muscle tissue is composed of cells that have the special ability to shorten or contract in order to produce movement in the body parts. The tissue is highly cellular and is well supplied with blood vessels. And so letter A, skeletal muscle tissue. Secure a preferred slide of a striated skeletal muscle and examine it under the LPO and HPO. So, ang skeletal muscle is one of the three significant muscle tissues in the human body. Each skeletal muscles consist of thousands of muscle fiber wrapped together by connective tissue sheets. The individual bundles of muscle fiber in a skeletal muscles are known as fasciculi. Muscle fibers or muscle cells, elongated, unbranched, and multinucleated fibers. Then tria, transverse alternating dark and light bands. So muscle fibers. Each skeletal muscle fiber is a single cylindrical muscle cell. Then the tria, a result of repeating bands of the proteins actin and mucin that are present along the length of myofibrils. Dark A bands and light I bands repeat along myofibrils, and the alignment of myofibrils in the cell causes the entire cells to appear striated or banded. Letter B, cardiac muscles tissue. Examine the cross section of the cardiac muscles under the LPO and HTO. Note the light and dark bands like those exhibited in skeletal muscles. Observe that the fiber seems to anastomose with the adjacent ones. Interconnecting branch fibers. In the interval along the fibers find the thin, dark intercalated disc which is characteristic of the cardiac muscles. So ang cardiac muscles makes up the thick middle layer of the heart. It is one of the three types of muscles in the body, along with skeletal and smooth muscles. So letter C, let's continue to letter C, the smooth or visceral muscle tissue. Examine a cross-section of a frog's stomach under the LPO. Move the slides to the circular layer of muscles. Using the HPO, focus on a spindle-shaped fiber which has a nucleus at the center of the widest portion of the cell body. So the smooth muscles is present throughout the body, where it serves a variety of functions. It is in the stomach and intestine, where it helps with digestion and nutrients collection. The number 4, nervous tissues. The nervous tissues is made up of two elements, neuron or nerve cell and neuroglial cells. Neurons are concerned with the transmission of impulse, specialized to receive and transmit an impulse from one part of the body to the other parts. Refers to the figure of a neuron. So take note of the following parts. Cell body contains the nucleus and the thread-like processes. Neurolemma, cell's membrane. Dendrites, the process that conduct impulse towards the cell body. Axon, conduct impulse towards from the cell body. Ang nervous system, guys, or anyone, the nervous system helps to carry message from the one part of the body to the other and responds to stimuli. It is found in the brain. spinal cord, and nerves. It consists of nerve cells called neurons. So, let's continue to number 2, and that is the reproductive tissues. The reproductive cells are produced by the gonads. The male gonads or testes produce the spermatozoa or sperm cells. The female gonads or ovaries produce the ovum or egg cells. So letter A, we have ovum or egg cells. Examine under the LPO, the Prague's ovary. Focus 1, foliate with cells at different stages of development, and take note the following parts. Take note the following parts. So take note the following parts. First, oocyte. Oocyte. True ovum surrounded by foliate cells. Then second, granulosa cells. Multi-layered cohort of foliate cells surrounding the ovum that secrete the fluid that accumulates in the extracellular space and bats the oocyte. Then we have third, zona pellucida. A cellular membrane between the oocyte and granulosa cells. Antrum, space between the ovum and granulosa cells. Graphian follicle with large antrum. So letter B, spermatozoa or sperm cell. Examine a prepared slide of human sperm cells under HPO. Identify the following. We have acrosome, cup-like and found at the anterior portion of the head of a sperm. Then second head, contains the nucleus with the genetic materials. Third, we have centriole, presence in the basal plates of sperm's head, give rise to the axonomy of the flagellum. Then fourth, we have mitochondria, site of ATP production to support the cell motility. Then we have middle piece or mid-piece, portion that contains the mitochondria. Then we have flagellum or tall, the long whip-like structure used for movement. Okay, thank you for watching this. That is the exercise number 1 entitled Animal Cells and Tissues.